Good evening, Todd Sachs of Sachs Realty, and welcome to another Tuesday night podcast. And tonight you're going to learn all about vacation rentals. I'm really excited. Tonight's guest, Steve Daria, he's in Florida, and he's a pro at this stuff. And, guys, you're going to learn, you might be thinking, should you get into real estate investing, period? Maybe, you're thinking something completely different, like single family houses on an annual basis. And tonight, we're going to talk about these short-term rentals, these vacation rentals, and let's go ahead and get started. Why vacation rentals?
I mean, ever since I moved to the beach, honestly, I think that was probably about eight or 9 years ago. Just seeing the potential, we were able to score an office across the street from the beach, and the more people I was talking to, the more that people wanted basically, to have a property in Southwest Florida, own it and utilize it, but they also wanted to generate income from it. And, from then on, and I've always, had annual rentals, but not necessarily vacation rentals. So once I saw the potential there and the potential to, use a property and create income from it, it's just, I've been kind of hooked to it ever since.
There's a big difference in when you're investing in sort of short-term rental, right? I mean, that's what vacation rentals are all about. It's a short-term rental. You also invested in more long-term, more annual rentals. Which do you like best?
I like both. I think annual rentals are great because you do have that consistency with vacation rentals in Florida anyway. There's a lot of peaks and valleys in terms of your income. Like here in Southwest Florida, our peak is January, February, March, and April. So that's where you make majority of your money. That's where, the highest rate per night is in terms of those 3-4 months. So, but the vacation rental aspect of it, it's, I've been drawn to it because you are able to buy a property, an investment property that creates income, but also use it yourself as well as, for your family and friends. So I really, really like that aspect of it.
Do you have a specialty? So as far as, and I guess the question really is when somebody's thinking about a vacation rental, I mean, are you always buying places on the beach, or do you just try and be in that vacation town?
Personally, I'm a beach guy. I love the beach. We've scoured the coast to coast throughout Florida here, and have really been scouting properties kind of all over. So I really like the beach. There's no doubt about it. But, we were in Georgia not too long ago, a place called Big Canoe, and we were looking at cabins up there. So, I mean, it just depends. But yeah, I favor beaches for sure, just because that's kind of, I'm more of a water beach kind of guy.
That's how you landed where you are right now. So you graduated college and just kind of stayed.
Yep, exactly.
So are you getting, is the market hot for vacation rentals where you are?
Ever since the pandemic, it's been ridiculous out here because, there's a lot of states that, people are trying to get out of certain states, certain cities because of lockdowns or whatever. So we've had a mass amount of people coming out here and buying up Florida real estate. And some of those people, a lot of the people, they're not just looking to completely leave up north or whatever the case is. So they do want to get their spot in Florida, and they do have intentions on renting their properties when they're not leasing them out.
So how does somebody get started?
I would say, with vacation rentals.
With vacation rentals,
I would say, if you're using it for yourself, make sure it's, kind of along those lines that you're asking me. Make sure it's a place in an area and a property that you're going to really enjoy. Especially if you want to utilize it. And then I would say wherever those places are, just find a good realtor to help you out, to find the right properties and to analyze the properties correctly. You want to make sure that you're looking at the income and expenses associated with the property, the true income and expenses, and not necessarily a pro forma, which is kind of a guesstimate. So analyze the numbers and make sure that you have the appropriate professionals in the area to analyze the numbers. And also, if you're going to have somebody else manage the properties, have them run the numbers as well to make sure it's in line with whatever estimates that you're receiving, and shop those companies as well, and shop their rates, because they're going to charge management fees, and the lowest is not necessarily the best. And you kind of get what you pay for in that realm as well.
So a lot of the people that you're helping out, I guess it kind of starts out that they like to travel maybe themselves, and they want, just like you said, a place that they can buy and actually vacation. I mean, I'm actually interested in that for myself. If you have a place, and you can rent it, just like you said, and get get an income from it, at least it may pay for it, having it to where you can stay for free. And I know, so for people that are out there and, they're investing in rentals, you're saying there's a big difference. So there's a lot of different considerations, and I want to kind of go over those. So I heard you say in one of your videos, a lot of people, they don't realize that it's up to you for all of the utilities. So if you buy a rental property, your tenant's paying the electric, your tenant's paying for the trash and things like that. I mean, so what are all of the types of considerations that kind of go into that cost that you're mentioning?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. When you're hosting a property, I mean, you're providing short-term rentals for people, so you do have to provide everything that's needed. Just not just what's going to be inside the kitchen cabinets, but all the utilities, high-speed internet, electric, water, everything essentially that a hotel would provide. You got to think along those lines as well. And also obviously a clean place and fresh linens and everything that somebody's going to need to have a comfort level when staying at your place. And also it's extremely important that, these properties are well managed on your behalf, or if you're doing it yourself, because if they're mismanaged, you're going to get bad reviews, whether it's on Airbnb, VRBO, or whatever sites. And that's just going to really decrease your bookings as well as decrease your revenue.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess even do you put utensils? I mean, are you making your vacation rentals like home?
Yeah, I mean, my primary residence right now, it's on Bonita Beach. I have it leased out for 3 months. So I'm actually in another property on Bonita Beach as well, where there's 10 days opened up on this place. So I jumped over here for 10 days. And, this place, it's turnkey. It's got a kitchen, it's turnkey, everything down to toilet paper is included. So and if you go above and beyond as well. So a lot of times we put 4 bottles of water in there, we put snacks, we put a bottle of wine. So we go above and beyond for our guests, because that does increase our ratings. And when you have better ratings on all the sites, they're like Airbnb is incentivized to promote your property with, good ratings, because they make more money off of it as well, as opposed to promoting a property that has poor ratings.
So is there a rule of thumb, like, and you probably should check with management companies. I mean, if you're in New Jersey and you're buying a place in Florida for a vacation rental, it's not easy for you to manage. So what do you recommend as far as, before someone selects a place? I mean, how would they know when they're buying a condo on the beach that they can actually at least pay the bills?
Do your research. I mean, you can't just go to a place and get a place into contract and not know your numbers, not do your research. So it's really a matter of getting the right professionals in the area and do your analysis and do your analytics. And if you're hiring another company, a vacation rental company, to manage your property, I would interview 3, 4, 5 different companies, have them all run pro formas and see what numbers they're going to come up with, and see if it's all in line. If the numbers are completely all over the place, then you might not be buying the best property for yourself. So you do have to take into consideration all the expenses. If you have debt on the property, obviously your principal and interest, but your real estate taxes, any association fees, your electric, your internet, costs for, the cost for cleanings and that kind of stuff is put back onto the guest. But, I always figure in costs for a deep clean at least twice a year. Also, linens. We go through linens a lot because we provide like nicer white linens. So it's clean and nice. So we have to account for those expenses as well. So it's, people have to do their research to make sure that, they're taking in consideration everything, all expenses.
So, a lot of people are using online search, Zillow, Realtor.com, things like that, even before they get to people like us, right? Agents or brokers. So, give us an idea. What happens? Somebody checks out Bonita Beach and, they go online, they find a condo that's for sale, and, then they reach out to the agent or you, for instance. How are you equipped to take them through that process? Do you manage yourself as well, or do you have a referral partner that you kind of work with do you put the pro formas together? Can you kind of just take us through that process?
Yeah, sure. Actually, in our office, I don't manage our own properties. I actually outsource it to a company called iTrip. They're a franchisor, but they're independently owned. And I was hunting down a company to kind of align ourselves with, just as a real estate brokerage, and having them in-house. So we do have, quote unquote, in-house vacation rental company, and they handle all of our personal properties. And then we refer any clients to them directly. But yeah, they handle a lot of the pro formas for us, and it's market knowledge. If somebody's looking for, say a $500,000 price range, and it's a, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Bonita might not do the trick, but Fort Myers Beach is likely going to do the trick. So it's market knowledge and figuring out where we can fit people based on their wants, their needs, and then line them up with the appropriate professionals to handle the vacation rentals, as well as coming up with the pro formas and the numbers to make sure that all the numbers make sense.
So I come to you and I say, hey, look, $500,000, 300,000, 700,000. I have no idea, what to expect on a return on that. Or does that get me a vacation for free every year and pay the bills? Or do I still come out of pocket? So I call you up and, kind of talking for myself here. I say, hey, I'm good with $500,000. You take me to Fort Myers and, you find a condo. Are 2-bedroom better than 3-bedroom? What are people looking for?
It's kind of all over the place. Even the place I'm in right now, this is a studio condo across the street from the beach. So it's kind of all over the place, and it depends on people's price ranges and their family size. If they're utilizing the property themselves, they might have children or other family members where they all want to go and utilize it at the same time. So it really just depends on the person. So it's just, we have to sit down and ask a series of questions of their wants, their needs, and what do they need for themselves and their family. And
you're focusing on what am I looking for? How many weeks do I want to use it a year? And what do I need? And then how about financing? Is this like even though I'm going to use it for income, is this considered a second home?
It could absolutely be considered a second home for financing, for sure. And if it's for investment purpose, and obviously we're not accountants and speak to an accountant about this, but there are favorable tax write-offs by having investment property. So theoretically, your trip from Maryland to Florida could be a complete write-off for yourself as well, because you are investing in Florida real estate. So there's a lot of advantages there as well.
Yeah. So I guess, how much money do I need down? So is that like the standard, can you do FHA financing on a second home? Are you familiar with that?
I always suggest that people don't over leverage But yeah, I mean, I would anticipate a lot of people are coming to the table at 20-25% down.
So $500,000, is that pretty standard for a beach condo in Florida?
Yeah, I would say in Bonita Beach, Fort Myers Beach, a $500,000 will go a pretty long way in terms of getting you guys a lot of options. Another thing I want to touch on too is you got to watch out, and this is where it comes down to local market knowledge as well. Is you got to watch out with different associations because they have different laws or bylaws associated with their association in terms of minimum days, rental days. So, for example, this place I'm in right now, it's 3-day minimum, and that's kind of hard to find. That's why a lot of people are drawn to this place, even though they're studios. But other places, like my other place on Bonita Beach, that's 30-day minimum, and in the off season, it's not going to rent as well because a lot of people don't want to be down in Southwest Florida for a full 30 days during the summer months. So you want to find properties, I would say, at least a minimum of 15 days or less. And that's where the market knowledge comes into play with different associations, specifically condo associations.
So the condo associations actually say you can't do shorter than 3 or 30-day rentals.
Absolutely.
Wow. So it really is important to look at those documents.
Yeah. In terms of the association documents, you got to make sure that these associations are sound as well. If they're mismanaged, then you could be walking into a property where, 5 months from now, there's an assessment for a roof and you're having to cut a check for $8,000. So you got to make sure that you're reviewing not just the association documents, rules, regulations, bylaws, but actually the actual financials associated with it and make sure they're financially sound.
Are there associations that don't allow that you're familiar with that don't allow rentals at all?
The East Coast of Florida. So I have a condo over in Fort Lauderdale, and I can't rent that at all. That's coming up for a vote this year to allow rentals. But the East Coast of Florida, in my because I signed up with the MLS and everything out there, and I've spent a lot of time out there scouting properties. There's a lot more communities over on that coast that are a lot more strict when it comes down to short-term rentals.
Yeah. So what other things do they have to be careful about? So when they're putting an offer in, really, if somebody's considering doing this, understanding your budget, in that area, I guess you need to know if people even vacation there, right? So you have to know a little bit about the area. So do the management companies help you with that? So if you say you pick Bonita Beach, call you up and say, hey, show me what you have or send me some listings of what you have, then they would talk to the management company to find out how much they can book that out in a year, or they give, you say that pro forma, they give you an idea that, hey, we think that we could book this beach, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo 60% of the year. Is that basically what they would tell you?
Yeah, essentially. Brett with iTrip, he basically provides the pro forma. It's broken down monthly and then a percentage that they anticipate renting out per month. So that could be, 30% in the off months and then 100% in, or 90%, 95% in the, peak season months. So you'll get an idea there. Another site that I utilize, especially outside of the areas that I know, is AirDNA. That's a great site because then you can get an idea of, because they pulled the data directly from Airbnb, I think VRBO as well. So they pulled the data from those sites, so you can see if it's a hot area for short-term rentals as well.
So, and what are they going to give you? Do they have? Is that free data? Can somebody just download that, or do they have to subscribe?
If they go to AirDNA, I think it's airdna.com, you can get a certain amount of information for free, and then there's a paid version which provides you way more details than you probably even need. It'll probably even confuse you because I was confused on some of the stuff, some of the data as well. But the free version will at least kind of give you a rough idea of whether you should even take a further look at the area of concentration.
So how are the people making out right now in the middle of a pandemic? I mean, are people that have invested in these for vacation purposes, or rental purposes, vacation rental purposes? I mean, are they getting crushed right now?
Well, so when the pandemic first started, our properties, unfortunately, people, cut their vacation short because of everything, and we actually got cut some of that revenue. But a handful of months later, we just, even in our off season, we had a lot of people coming down because they were just getting out of lockdowns and everything. So we've been extremely busy. I mean, it's been a busy off season and coming into season now. January, February, March, April, we're very busy right now. So initially hotels got hit, but things are getting booked up, and vacation rentals, I mean, we're starting to do much better. So Black Swan, I think, affected everybody in some fashion, but I think that everybody's rebounding fairly good in South Florida.
So what are like some of the calls that you're getting? I mean, what areas are you getting a lot of people investing from the Northeast?
Northeast, what's crazy is the coast here, because how 75 and 95 run. So 95 is bringing you from the Northeast right down to the East Coast of Florida. It's a straight shot. And then 75 goes right up into the Midwest. So traditionally we have a lot of Midwesterns, Ohio, and they're primarily, they've been coming here for years and years, but now we're starting to see the Northeast come to this coast as well, because it's more laxed on this coast. The East Coast of Florida is more like the Northeast. It's fast paced and kind of like, growing up in Jersey, it's a faster pace of life. This coast, it's just more relaxed. So we are seeing more of the Northeasterners coming over here besides just the Midwest.
So these management companies, you buy a place and, it appears that the numbers will work. I mean, what do they charge? I know, like here, if you're going to hire a management company to take care of your long-term rentals, it's about 8%, 8 to 10% of your rents. What does for vacation rentals is probably a lot more involved, right? I mean, they have a lot more work to do. What's the percent average, or what should someone be looking for to spend?
It's kind of all over the board out here. On average in Southwest Florida, it ranges anywhere from, I'd say, 15 to 25%. My brother's up in the Panhandle. He's got a vacation rental property up there. I think he pays like 22%. Big Canoe in Georgia, when we were scouting properties up there, they were close to 50%. So wow. That's why I was ready to pull a trigger on a cool little cabin up there, but the numbers just didn't work because of all the management companies in the area charged literally 50%. So, those numbers didn't work. And so I think it just depends. But yeah, it's going to be a lot more work than your traditional annual tenant. So that's why, rightfully so, they deserve a higher fee.
So are they purely the ones that are booking it out? I mean, do they take that role 100%?
The vacation rental companies?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's their sole focus.
So what else do they do other than booking your condo? I mean, do they clean, or what else is included in, let's say, that 20% commission? Is that purely sales?
No, I mean, they handle the check-in, check-outs. They handle the cleaners going in. If there's any maintenance issues, a leak, whatever, they have their handymen go in and make sure that everything's fixed. The guests are charged the cleaning fee. They're also charged the taxes. So state of Florida comes out to 11%. There's a bed tax and then sales tax. Two different entities, so they're responsible for taking that tax money and actually paying the appropriate entity, which is something I messed up on and I got fined and everything else because I paid the wrong amounts. So there is a lot that goes into it. And, I don't receive any phone calls. If something comes up, they just take care of it. So, every month they drop the revenue in our bank account, direct deposit, and you don't have to mess with it. So, and with iTrip, it's cool because they have a owner's portal. So, you can go in and block out whatever dates you want for your friends and family, and it's no additional charge. Which, one thing that I got to suggest to anybody's watching or listening to this is make sure, because there's companies out there that'll charge you for your personal bookings. And I highly disagree with that. I mean, I get it. They're in the business. They want to make money and everything else, but that's your property. So I would not go with a firm that does something like that unless it's a minimal charge of, whatever it is. But
so they charge you on the revenue that they're not getting because you're staying there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So whatever percentage that would be of that block of time, whatever that rate is, they'll want that 20% of that amount.
Yep.
Time. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's some companies that do that. A lot of them don't, but you got to read the fine print and make sure that you are thoroughly reviewing these contracts with any vacation rental company, because, you could be bound to a lot of different things that you weren't anticipating. And real quick to touch on that, like prime example, my brother that bought a place up in the Panhandle, he had me review the contract for the vacation rental company up there. And they literally had an $800 fee associated with changing the locks. And he already had the smart lock on the door already, Wi-Fi enabled and everything else. And realistically, that lock was like a $250 lock, maybe $100 to install. So it's a $350 if you didn't have it. And they're charging $800.
How about Airbnb? I mean, so where does that fit into the mix? So if you have a management company that is responsible for managing your condo, and then all of a sudden you decide you want to put it on Airbnb, how does that work?
They already put it on Airbnb.
Okay. So they're doing part of their service is doing that.
Yeah. They handle, because, they handle the expenses associated with being on Airbnb and all the other sites out there. So
do they charge less commission if it comes through Airbnb, or is that what they're using as the primary source of booking?
Well, it depends on what company you're utilizing. iTrip, they syndicate to a lot of different sites. Some are even hotel sites. So, but it's all the same charge.
Okay, so it's if they're charging you 20%, it doesn't matter where the source is coming from.
Correct.
So, what about wear and tear? I mean, what happens? I mean, people are away, they're partying, they're having a grand old time, they're bringing sand in a lot of times. I mean, what does that do to your wear and tear costs? And, what are some of do you have any stories that you could tell of rental nightmares and vacation rentals?
I mean, we've had other clients that had bigger houses that just party house and just kind of got destroyed in terms of just more mess cleanup than anything, and then additional charges would go back to the guests on something like that. But I mean, in my experience, I haven't had anything too crazy. There is normal wear and tear that you have to anticipate. Certain furniture we replace over the years. So things break, and it's going to happen, and you got to obviously account for that kind of stuff as well. Just like I said, with refreshing linens, and we do cleanings on the couches. We have a company come in and clean the couches every so often, that kind of stuff. But I have not, knock on wood, haven't had anything too crazy happen with any of our vacation rental properties, or any clients that we know of that have anything too significant.
So the important things that I hear you say, on a lot of your videos is that, reviews. I mean, we know that everything's review based. And if you're going to landlord these short-term vacation rentals, it's very important. So how are you fostering, besides, having a nice place? I mean, are there certain niceties that you tell people, hey, look, you want to have, like you just said, wine, And I know in one of your videos you spoke about, bikes. You provide 2 adult bikes and maybe even sometimes 2 children bikes because bikes are expensive. So it's kind of like that added bonus to say, hey, we have great bikes that you guys can cruise up and down the boardwalk or whatever. I mean, what other things should somebody be considering to get those big, high 5-star reviews?
Depending on where you're buying a property, make sure that you experience it. And then when you're there, what do people do in those areas? And if it's bicycling, if it's kayaking, and you can store kayaks on the property, whatever it is, those little additional things do make a big difference. And like you said, the wine and waters, and you think about it, if you've ever traveled, sometimes you fly in, you get in late, it's midnight, and you come into a hotel or whatever. It's nice to have some snacks to snack on. But I think, and I travel a good amount, something that's important for me is a comfortable bed, clean sheets, and a clean place. Even if the furniture is outdated or the place is outdated, as long as it's very, very clean and a comfortable bed and clean sheets, then I'm happy, So I think cleanliness is huge. I did one video talking about a place that we rented in Key West. It was a townhome, and we had a lot of the family out, and it was actually Thanksgiving a couple of years back. And I opened up the cabinets in the kitchen, and there was like a ton of Tupperware. There's a ton of cups from Duval Street. I mean, it was just filled, and you reach in the cabinet and stuff's all falling out on top of you. And you're going to have that kind of stuff happen too. People, they fly in and they can't take stuff back with them. So they're going to leave stuff for the next person. So you got to train your cleaning crew correctly, make sure that they are discarding stuff that doesn't necessarily belong there. So I think just little things like that too make a big difference.
So kind of start to finish, somebody wanting to get a vacation rental to the point to where it's actually making money. Is it possible to profit that first year?
Yeah. I mean, depending on your expenses, you could be profitable day one.
So do you recommend, most of the people that are booking vacation rentals, they don't go and check it out. It's not like you're going to live there. You go and you look at the different apartments. They're basically seeing it online. So any tips for people investing that makes that place stand out?
Yeah. As a real estate broker, and I'm sure you guys hire professional photographers, you have to. We're in the world of everybody shops online. And yes, I would say 99.9. I don't think we've ever shown any of our rental properties before somebody checked in. That just doesn't happen. They're coming from different states. So yes, they're relying on photos. They're relying on reviews. They're relying on videos as well. And I would have it all professionally done. Spend a couple $100 and get incredible photos, because that is how they're making a decision on whether they're booking yours or somebody else's.
Are you guys using the Matterport 3D tours?
I know that Brett uses them on some properties that are larger in size, just to get an idea of the floor plans. And then other ones, we just have simple walkthrough, video walkthroughs on them.